So, in the continuity of the last session where we discussed like how to persist data in the Docker containers. So in this session, we are going to discuss like, how to get data from the local system or the host system. Basically, how your container, maintains the communication with your host system or the local system. So let's get started. But even before we start with this, discussion of this topic, in the last session we were, I mean, I we told you like there is multiple way. There are multiple ways. We can containers can talk to each other or share data with each other. So we had already discussed about the one way. So now in this session we are going to discuss about the another way of doing it. So we can use, there is something called -v flag. So it's like volume only. So initially we have seen like the mounting stuff. We have seen like we use the mount actually to mount a volume. In this session we will use another parameter called -v actually. So for that we have a command called like similarly like how do we do it, like docker run, and then we give the name, container name, and here we can use flag uh, -v, and we can give the volume name here like volume e, and then we can tell the drive or the folder structure which you want to attach to it. So we will say logs, and then the image name, and it's pretty much same. I mean, the interactive shell and the port number we will give. So basically the main thing is we can use this flag, volume flag, to bind a particular volume or attach a particular volume to a container, right? So let me just pull out my shell, and then from there I can show you. So let me check what all container have we have running off till now. So see, there are two containers here. I'll just delete all these containers. We don't need it. It'll be real quick. And then if I do docker ps, you see nothing is there. So if I check what all volumes I have, so for that we have command called volume, and I will say ls. So it will show me all the volumes. So you see local, this volume is already available here. Now what I'm gonna do, let me just create a container here to docker run, and I would give container a name called volume. I would give it a name volume A, and then we have this colon, and I have to tell the dry folder structure which I want to attach to it. So I would say logs, and then it's a pretty much same stuff here. I'll just give the image here which I want to make. Let's see. Okay, again, we need to give double hyphen here. So that's a miss. So see, I just got into it. So if I do ls, already log folder will be there into, should be there into it. So you see log folder is there. And then if I get into this logs folder, nothing, no, the file should be there, which we created. So you see the containers file, which we created in the previous session, it is already there. So let me create another file in this. I mean, uh, so like, let's say I'll say echo. And if I say another way of, I'll just give the container name. So I'll just pick it up from here, and I'll give container volume name, and then I'll say another way of attaching volume. using -v as a flag or parameter. And then again, we will use this indirection operator. I'll give the file name container volume. Another way, .txt, and we'll hit enter. Excuse me, sorry. So if I do ls here, we should have files created. So you see another file is created. So if I just get into this file, I'll just copy it. If I do cat, and if I get into this file, uh, the content which I wrote previously should be there in this file. You see the content, the content is there. So if I come out of it, I just came out of it. So I'll just clear the screen and I'll say, I have one container running here. Let me create another container. So if I do ls, this folder structure should be there. It is there. So if I get into it, and if if I write another thing here, so I will say echo. So I just got into it. Let me do ls, and I'll just get into this log folder, and I'll do ls here. So I got the file name. In this file name, I will just say, and if I do cat here, this file name, you see the another record has been added to this. So see, this is how we can write. We can share data between containers. Two things we have discussed here. So one is by using the -v flag, right? Volume flag. Another way is using the mount, file system. So there we have commands we have already seen in last session. So now we have to discuss like how container communicates with local system. Local system you are aware of where I'm writing right now, or host system, or cloud as a host, or VM as a host. So what do I mean when I say this local system you are aware of? I mean this very slide. I mean everything. My Docker engine is installed this in this system itself. So this system becomes a host for me, and my Docker client CLI also installed into this system. So this system act as a server. This system is also acting as a client. Right. But if I move my server to up there in some other clouds, we already have this discussion multiple times. So that's where the host system changes. So let's say in this cloud I have my host installed, and in this host I have some data which I want to use, which I want container to uh, you know talk to this data. Let's say I have containers, and this is machine 1, this is machine 2, and this is a cloud somewhere. Well, let's say your Amazon or Google Cloud, whatever it is, right? So from this machine you want to talk to this Amazon cloud or this Google Cloud, right? So how do I do that? How do we do that? So that's what we are going to see in this system itself. So that is what I meant when I say cloud as a host, right? And when I say VMs as a host, right? So the only thing I'm trying to convey over here is when you have your Docker engine installed somewhere else rather than in your own machine right now. So one more thing I want to, I would like to highlight here. So see, in the previous session also, I've been, putting an emphasis on like how container communicates, right? Communication, how container talk to each other. And here we have been discussing about the file system, right? That container uses. We discuss mount as a file system. In mount, we have volume, right? And then we have bind. We are using these two stuff for, data sharing. So basically, you know, if you take a closer look in the last session also and in this session also, we have been talking about the data sharing only. Okay. This is the partial communication, not the full time communication we are talking about. This is the partial communication, you can say. This is the partial communication only we have, spoken so far. So you see, the thing is, the data is there in some machine here, right? And the container is there. So what is happening? This container C1, this container C2 is just updating a file here, and then this C2 is reading this file. So they are talking to each other, right? Because the whatever output or file it is storing in this machine or here in the volume or drive, you can say, whichever whatever name you want to give it, you give. So whatever file it is updating in this volume as a output, this output becomes an input for this C2. So it is updating it, it is fetching it. It is updating it, it is fetching it. So this is how this cycle is working. Kind of they are doing, they are, into the mode of communication, but this communication, this type of communication, we say partial communication. Yeah, I would like, highlight this point here. So till now we have been talking about only partial communication. We have spoken about the persistence of the data. Okay. So full time communication happens when the networking comes into the picture. Okay. In networking, these containers are connected to each other. Okay. These containers C1, C2, C3 are connected to each other in a network, right? And in that network, they become more secure, and they can, talk to each other by using the port mechanism. The traffic will come to the local port first, and then from the local port will be transferred to the port inside the container. That's what the, full communication, full time communication, the actual communication, establishment, we say, between the containers. So we are going to take a look into that sort of communication also, but not in this session. But I just wanted to highlight a point, like this is the partial communication we have been discussing here. This is more or like the data shareability we are talking about. Okay. So please make a note of it. So yeah, let's get started. Let's shift our focus to the main topic, like how containers communicate with the host system. So to maintain communication with the host system, container uses bind method or the bind technique of mount, right? So for that, we have simple command here, like if I create container, docker run, I'll give name of the container, right? And then we will give ID, excuse me, sorry, one, and then we'll give the port number, right? And then we'll give the image name. So these are the things we will give here. And before here, we will also use a keyword called mount. And then we can give the type, which type of mount it is. So we know already we are using bind, right? And then we need to mention the source. And source, again, the source will be the path of your local system, and target will be path to the file structure in container, right? So let's get into the shell and let's try to establish this communication. So let me come out of it. Let me see what all things I have here. So you see already there is a logs folder here. So uh, Let me check. Just give me a moment. If I still have logs here, let me do. Yeah, so logs is there. Excuse me, sorry. Let me create another directory here. I will say bind method. Them. I'll create this and I'll. If I do ls, you see bind method is created. Right. Let me copy this path from here, or let me get into the bind method. I'll copy this path from here. I'll come out of it. I'll tell you why did I do that. So let me try to create a Docker container. Let me check what all containers I have. I have two containers here. So let me delete these containers first. Right, let me try creating containers here. So if I say Docker run, and then I have to give the name of the container. So I would give container bind method demo, right? And then here I can give mount as a keyword, right? I want to use bound mount here. And in the mount itself, we will use type, and type I will give bind. And then we need to mention the source. The source is the path which we had copied. So this path we need to mention here, and then we have to give the folder name here, and then we need to give the target. And target is we would like to create it in the bind method. So if folder is not there, it will automatically create folder. Give me a moment. I need to see the image first. So I'll say Docker image Alice, and then I'll give the same path. And here I'll give sorry, the image name, then the interactive -IT flag, then P flag, then 8080. I would say would be like a host in here, guys. Looks like something. So just give me a moment. There is some issue with the syntax here. So we have used goes to bind, and then we need to give comma here. So see, it has, yeah, it has created this. See, the issue was we need to be, very much particular about the syntaxes here. So if you miss a single comma and, full stop also, then it won't show you result. We have already discussed it. So yeah, so now I got into it. Let me check if we have the directory created here. You see bind method. This directory is created here. So I'll just get into this directory, and I'll create a file here. Again, I'll save it into these some other file. I'll save bind method file.txt. So it will be saved into it. If I do ls, it will show me this. If I say cat, and then I'll give this file name, the content whatever we have seen, it will be written into it. See. Let me come out of this container. I'll do ls, sorry, dir, and then I'll just get into this. So see, whatever file I created in that bind method, the same file has been created into this uh, bind method demo folder. Why? Because these folders are mapped. So now you see the folder structure that I have in my local is mapped to the folder structure that we have in the containers. So if I do cat here saying it, okay, this command will not work here. So if I have to see the content of this, I can directly go into this folder itself. And then we have Git here. I'll just get into the Git. In this Git, I have Docker. And in this Docker, I have created bind. And here we have this file. See, this file has this content, right? So this is how we maintain the communication with the local system in the Docker container or the host system where your server or Docker engine is installed. Be it cloud, we have already discussed. Anywhere, this is how we can maintain communication. I have just shown you the example of simple text file. Similar way, we can mount databases in here. Like instead of working with the text file, we would be working with the databases. You can host your databases, connect your databases in this. All we need to know is just to go through the syntaxes that we have in the Docker manual, understand the syntaxes, work according to the syntaxes. We should be able to achieve our requirement or whatever need of the our project has. So well, yeah, this is pretty much about like how container uh, speak to each other. So there are furthermore things which we need to discuss, but not in this session. So uh, that's it for today. I wish you a good day. Thanks for connecting again. Bye bye. Let's catch up in next session.